shadowy, sometimes out-of-state corporations are trying to divert our tax dollars away from our public schools in an effort to profit over the education of our kids. Ohio needs an unabashed champion of public education in the Senate to make sure that our traditional public schools are getting what they need to be successful and to fend off policies and decisions that undermine them. I will strongly oppose efforts to send our tax dollars to enrich out-of-state or in-state charter school operators in Ohio or anywhere else at the expense of our public schools, our students, and our teachers. It troubles me, and it should trouble every Ohioan, to know that Ohio is known as the wild, wild west of charter schools. And I am appalled that the United States Department of Education recently awarded Ohio's charter $71 million in spite of the well-documented charter data rigging scandal at the Ohio Department of Education. That should never have happened. I and other champions of public education in Ohio spoke out against this decision that would have propped up Ohio's failing charter schools. Fortunately, the Department of Education recognized its indefensible action and pulled back the award. But Senator Portman has taken the opposite approach. Senator Portman wrote a letter in support of sending these millions of taxpayer dollars to Ohio's failing charter schools, including private for-profit companies who want to profit off our children's education. Now that's no surprise, because the Akron Beacon-Journal reported that Senator Portman has accepted thousands in campaign contributions from disreputable for-profit charter school operators. Senator Portman has also voted to cut funding for public schools by $780 million in order to give taxpayer-funded handouts to his rich and powerful friends. He's voted to cut the Department of Education by $115 billion, and he has supported budgets that's jeopardized over 65,000 education positions across the country. Now, I spent my life as a public servant fighting for additional funding for our public schools, all the way back to the Ohio DeRoth case, when Ohio's school funding was ruled unconstitutional by our state's Supreme Court. When I entered office, Ohio faced a school funding crisis. But even in the midst of a global recession, we protected resources for public schools, and we passed a constitutional system of school funding to provide adequate resources for students no matter their zip code. I believed then, and I believe now, that poverty should not be a barrier to educational opportunities. Under my administration, Ohio schools went from 27th to 5th best in the nation. And we did it all while balancing every budget. That commitment to public education and fighting for our schools and teachers is exactly the same effort I'll bring to the Senate. I also believe that our schools should bring out the best in everyone. Teachers want to teach. Learners want to learn. But excessive, oppressive testing is stifling both. As I travel the state and spend time with parents, educators, and students, I hear about the toll high-stakes testing has taken. And I hear a plea for help. Help to get our schools out from under these over-the-top testing requirements that steal teaching time, suffocate creativity and innovation in our schools, and, quite frankly, that take the joy out of learning. I heard one educator ask out loud what so many are thinking. Are we now teaching for the sake of testing, or are we teaching for the sake of learning? I know what that answer should be, but I fear just as they do that testing is now calling the shots in our school systems. Educators, think of this. Educators spend up to 6 weeks of instructional time just preparing children for these high-stakes, high-pressure tests. Another educator remarked that teachers are now forced to act more like statisticians, tallying test scores, rather than being the teachers they want to be, teachers that connect students with students and bring out the best in them. Now, even worse, tests are being required and, quite frankly, changed from year to year. Schools and teachers, of course, put a lot of focus on the outcome of tests because their ratings, their jobs, and whether a child moves to the next grade level are on the line with these high-stakes tests, and they are now tied to teacher evaluations and student promotion. It can't keep going on like this, my friends. Our teachers are under undue stress. Our children are under undue stress. Our parents are at their wits' end as they witness all of this. It must stop.